Hi. Okay, we're on. There was a little delay. Hello. Hello, hello. I'm Hemalayaa, and we are doing our Embody series, our Embody interview series. And today I am sitting with the gorgeous, divine Anaiya Spohia, who is an author, a Kundalini yoga teacher, and she's an independent mystic of an almost forgotten faith. We are going to find out what that means in just a moment. I want to welcome you here, and if you have questions, please write them in. We will most likely be able to get to questions and all of that, but our intention is to have a dialogue on embodiment and the divine feminine and what's to be in our fullest, greatest radiance and potential that we as women can be. So thank you for joining us. And Anaiya Spohia, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is a great honor to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, darling. Well, my first question is, what does the word or the definition of embody mean to you?
Well, for me, I guess I have been studying this like temple mysteries, these Magdalene mysteries. I've been receiving downloads and transmissions and mystical journeys of awakening. Mm-hmm. But the embodiment piece is the responding to all of that in action, actually coming forward with the body and say, I house great information in here. Let me touch you. Let me move you. Let me dance for you. Let me drip poetry upon you. So it's an action. It's an outward action out into the community. That to me is embodiment. Being that open door.
Say that again. Be that in that open door.
Being that opened doored temple.
Ah, yes, yes, yes. Just the way you described it, your body was fully in it. And, you know, that's part of why I wanted to talk to you, because when I have seen you and watched you and been in, you know, in adoration of you, it's really that you hold. And what I feel like you really embody beautifully is pleasure and sexuality and owning that sweetness that is the divine feminine.
Yeah. And a lot of fun and laughter. So I like to play with people. I like to take on a journey.
Yes, there's a lot of flirtation in your embodiment. I like it. Great. I know I'm a little bit, we have a little lag happening, so hopefully it's okay. And, okay, so what do we have to become in order to be in our full embodiment? Because your expression is the way that it is. My expression is the way that it is. So each individual woman, we have our own expression.
I think it comes down to one word, and that word would be permission. We have to grant ourselves the permission to move in a certain way, speak in a certain way, look in a certain way, and also be able to look in a certain way. You know, society has often tried to dumb us down into polite and tameable behavior. And of course, true embodiment of the sacred feminine cannot withstand such a tight corner to be backed into. So we have to give ourselves that permission to break free of that patriarchal prison, I guess, or puppetry. Stop being a puppet. And dare to be that wild, gorgeous, innocent, playful self that you are.
Beautiful. Yesterday, I posted it in, but it was Madonna's speech from the Music Awards, and she got Woman of the decade or something like that. I don't know what it was, but she did an incredible speech.
Oh.
And it was so in her, like she shared her truth around owning her power sexually as a woman, because she should be able to be whatever she desires to be.
Yes.
And I could see for her, it was her true expression. And she got, you know, slammed and slammed and slammed. And what she shared was, and what I took from it was like, when we're doing it just from being who we are, not as a rebelling, then owning it, and your whole confidence, everything changes because you're being who you truly are. And when us women, like I know for the women that I work with too, it's like when they're not owning fully or fully expressing themselves, then we go down a spiral of frustration, depression, anxiety, worry, and all the emotions that go around with that.
Yeah.
So how do we stay there, or how do we remember? What do you have practices, or what would you say to that?
Yeah, I would say every day you have to have a sort of worshipful, heated practice to actually bring you into that spirit. I call it the serpent. So kind of like the Kundalini Shakti, the uprising serpent, the one that makes your hairs, you know, stand to attention, even when you just speak about it, let alone dance or speak to it. So you definitely have to arouse this energy, like the Sufis. You know, this poetry is something that they would turn to every single day. You gotta keep the serpent, you know, percolated, not so much on the boil. Yeah, temper it, but keep it active. Yeah,
exactly. Demetrius has written in the flying serpent. Yes.
Heather and Jason, yay.
Yay. Yes. So you want to keep it almost turned on. Is that what you're...
Yes, absolutely. Tempered, warm, not hot, not cold, warm. That's what I've noticed as I've, you know, grown a little bit older. I'm now coming into the next phase of the woman's journey. And I'm recognizing, oh, it's best that the serpent is warm, not hot.
Hot gets a little fiery. And there's
yes, absolutely. And one of my best ways of keeping that serpent warm, I like dressing up. I like playing, dancing, you know, having a good old dance in front of the mirror. Just me and the mirror. Playing, teasing, you know, trying different shapes and faces.
That's amazing. I love it. Michelle is here, one of my beautiful friends. I'm blushing and I love it. Great. Yay, Heather. So is there a way when we're so deep in the suffering, because that's what happens when we're not in our full embodiment and we go into the suffering and not necessarily knowing. I did a Facebook Live yesterday about this particular thing, is because when we're lost in the emotions, when we're lost in that cycle of worry, anxiety, sadness, grief, and then emotions, and keep stirring up and more and more and more, it takes us away from our mission, our purpose, our radiance.
Yes.
Do you have any tips or advice on what we can do to break out of that cycle?
Yes, I do. I have one thing up my sleeve, and that is humility and deep on your knees prayer. And this is, when I'm in that place, this is where the priestess hat comes off. And I get down on my knees and I pray to God as a mother, father being, as daughter, and just really lay it on the line, and in a very humble way, help. I need help. Because if that little priestess hat is on, that kind of, identity can often get in the way. So the hat has to come off. In fact, everything comes off, and I'm literally underneath. And it takes me a while to get there, to be honest. But when I really am humble, when I'm really sincere in my prayer, that is when the support comes rushing in. And there's no denying that level of support.
Dimitri's has just wrote in, meditation works for me 1 hour daily. Yeah, that's great. And I have that as well. And sometimes we get pulled out of that, or we allow ourselves to be pulled out of that. And I think men definitely have much more of a steady, constant ability to trudge through and just keep going. And that's part of our women's practice, and that's why I want to be having these kinds of conversations about Embody, and this is part of the awakening around that. And my intention to talk to you today and to talk to all the other women that I'm talking to about Embody is, how do we first fully awaken to there's a cycle going on. We all have our own version of that keeps us just a little bit like a veil away from our true effulgence of what you said. The word was permission. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful, sorry, go on.
I'm not really sure I have a formulated answer for that one right now, but I recognize what you're saying. And it is a cycle. It's a cycle of knowing and not knowing, and then knowing again and not knowing again. And I guess catching ourselves in the not knowing, in the feelings, I've lost it, or it's left me. And what I would do again is just turn to prayer. Come back to that sincerity, that earnestness, that, and from that place, then the radiance can flow, and then the radiance is real. So it's kind of like a movement between sincerity and radiance. More sincerity, more radiance. But if we pray with an idea that we are something, then that might just get in the way. Well, it certainly has for me.
Yes, absolutely. Prayer is a big one for me to be an open channel, usually just to allow.
Yes.
And that was the word that came up when you just shared that. It's when we're in the sincerity, it allows, it gives us the allowance to even see or feel what the truth is. That's it. Grace. Yeah. Otherwise, we have some perception of what we think it should be.
Yes. Yeah. And prayer can also be so passionate and worshipful and wild and crazy and even tumultuous. The divine is like, whatever, bring it on. I'm here. I can meet you wherever you go.
Oh, I have a question.
It has to be this kind of solemn and saintly behavior. But a gorgeous, wild expression.
Have you prayed, been in that wild prayer while making love?
God, yes. Yes. And that was almost wordless. I was so surprised where that went. At first it seems odd to bring in prayer. You're in the middle of gorgeous, heightened sexual activity, and now you're going to bring in prayer, at that sincere level. So I'm not doing a fancy sexual prayer. I'm doing a prayer how I really would. But it took it right up into the soul, right up into the unspeakable purity that touched us both. We were both in floods of tears, but from gratitude and beauty.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. I had to ask because I was like, I could see it.
It was quite a surprise, actually. We didn't expect that to happen.
Oh, so sweet. What is your definition or your experience of the divine feminine?
The expression I'm meeting, and again giving myself permission to become, is this part of sacred truth-telling and possibly a little bit of sacred rage as well. So literally responding in the moment, absolutely authentically, to how I'm thinking and feeling. So just allowing, I'm definitely around the area of the throat at the moment. I've done some very good work with the womb, and I'm recognizing now that, I don't know about the final piece, but the next stage has to be the throat. The absolute unlocking of the throat and allowing Kali, or the Black Madonna, to absolutely be that mouthpiece in appropriate times and in appropriate ways. So one of my greats is Andrew Harvey. And so there you go. There's the beautiful embodiment of that open throat chakra. So it's that for me is the piece I am rubbing up against these days.
Ah, that's beautiful. And that's so in alignment with Embody, the Awakening, the live event, especially that's happening here in Los Angeles, September 30th. My feeling is that us women, and what's actually happening in the world right now, what is happening is we're being called.
Yes.
We're being called to fully embody first and then use our voice and opening here and be called into our leadership. And I know that there's so many of us, I call us the mistresses of many healing modalities, that we're past life courtesans and healers and just these vixens that are holding this immense divine feminine activation inside. But here we are in our Western society, and we haven't been initiated, and we haven't been given the rites of passage. And that's what part of my calling is right now, is to give us women that are being called the rites of passage to walk forward. I got goosies, oh my gosh, because I don't think I've said it like that before. And I'm getting so much from this conversation. Thank you.
We have a series of caves down here in the southern France. They're old Cathar initiation caves. And that is what I plan to take the women. Maybe, one day, one night in complete blackness, or maybe even 3 days and 3 nights, just so that they can have that real live initiation that the ancients needed. They needed that level of initiation to give them what they had. So yes, you're absolutely right. We got to create real initiatory rites of passage. So that lady knows she's housing the divine. There's no question of it in her mind. That doubt has been railroaded by a full-scale initiation, and she doesn't need anyone's opinion. She knows. She knows.
Yes, she doesn't need anyone to validate her or acknowledge her. She is holding herself without the doubts, without the story of I'm not enough, or I can't, or I won't be able to, and so on. All of the different stories that we have carried in our wounded bodies. And it's time for us, really, I feel this strongly, and I'm calling myself forward again and again and again, as I know you are also doing the same work and being initiated into stepping forward and holding more and, weaving through, I call it ninja-ing through self-doubts and these things that don't serve us. Maybe they served us for a moment to keep us safe, but they no longer serve us, and it's really time. And I think that is being reflected in the leadership of our world. And how that's really being shown. And it is time for us to take action.
Yeah.
What is your response to that in the role of women?
Well, the action I guess I'm bringing forward is the actual creation of these temple spaces now. Places where you can receive that healing, sacred, intimate touch, and where you can have these initiations to absolutely know yourself and have that direct Gnostic one-to-one connection with the divine. So I'm in a place now, no more talking about it. We do it. You meet me here and I will physically do this with you. And I will plant you there and come back in 3 days' time. And yes, you're going to have to trust me implicitly, but that's part of it. So it's the actual creation now of the places and the spaces where this temple work or remembering of the temple work can actually happen.
Can you tell us the importance of that, or share the importance of that at this particular time and why?
I believe that this sacred, holy touch, where there is no agenda, you know, the serpent is vertical. We're going straight to the soul. I'm not taking a little bit for myself, and I've got no little hidden agenda under my sleeve. So creating that space, I believe, is the one and only way that we can actually trust ourselves and others. It's kind of like an impeccable space where simply fear, doubt, distrust, and all the other little that keep the male and the female battling it out can actually be laid to rest. So all of the intergender wounding dropped. This is holy, this is innocent, this is healing. We're in the presence of the divine. You know, this is Gnostic, this is real, there's no doubt about this. And then the body can just let go of all the armoring, and then a different quality of love can unite the male and the female on the inside and on the outside. And then babies are going to get born through that. So it ends everything, because it's a place of such holiness and such sincerity. You know, true sisterhood can be established. True brotherhood can be straight. In doing it, I believe, the kink in the serpent. But it's not the serpent, it's our own interaction with it. You know, we got these crazy ideas around sexuality. It doesn't help that the church separated something in our mind in sexuality and spirituality. So if we can be brave enough and just straighten that thing out to serve the soul, then maybe, just maybe, we will become those divine humans. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I'm ranting.
I love it. I love it. You know, it's also that sexuality has been humanized, really. You know,
yeah.
And that's separate from what is. I'm not sure if you're hearing that.
I am. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. It's still echoing.
Yes.
Oh. Terrible. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back.
Oh,
Still echo. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna just ask you. I don't want to get off your soapbox, but I'm echoing. I'm gonna have to. One thing I want to know is your work and how what someone could expect if they were working with you. Like, what is the process, or what is your critique?
I would say that I offer...
Do you understand what I said?
Yes, yes. I would say that I offer a 3-level initiation, which would be the body, the heart, and the soul. But actual openings and activations into each of those 3 realms as an individual and as somebody in relationship as well. Are you still there?
I can hear you perfectly. I am frozen.
Okay,
but
frozen a little bit. And of course, I'm
yes,
working with the lineage of Sophia. Right. I'm working with the lineage of Sophia, so I'm very much calling on that wisdom from the Marys, from Eve, from Lilith, and understanding that Christ's journey through the eyes of the feminine sums it up, really.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm afraid to talk because I don't want to talk. Okay, I'll just get here. Anaiya Spohia, I really appreciate your wisdom and the work that you are doing in the world.
Thank you. I appreciate so much what you're doing. Speaking with you this evening has actually given me so much. You've actually passed something my way. So thank you so much, Hemalayaa.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So we're gonna close up. I want to say, Anaiya Spohia is on my list of bringing her wisdom, her initiation to the live event. It'll be in the future as our first live event. October 30th in Los Angeles, in Hemalayaa, and we invite you to that. I'll put the link in the bottom here.
Yeah.
Thanks for bearing with us with our technical problem. And Anaiya, thank you for spending the evening with us.
Thank you so much.
Any last questions? Anaiya and Embody. All right. I think we're gonna complete, and I'm so grateful. Hug everybody.
Thank you so much.
Anaiya, stay on.
Okay.
It's taking a moment. Oh, there we go.